Howard Dean's falling far and fast here, and he's got no one to blame but himself.
He's in some trouble here with Democratic primary voters. They're concerned about his behavior. He did it himself. They saw it. It's an emotional thing. It's a feeling thing. People see it, feel uncomfortable. That's very difficult to overcome.
Dean's now in a statistical tie with John Kerry, but the trends suggest he will soon fall behind. Dean suffered two setbacks in Iowa. The first, his disappointing third-place finish. The second, and far more damaging, was this.
We're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
Before that defining moment, 57% of New Hampshire Democrats had a favorable impression of Dean, only 19% an unfavorable impression. But the day after Iowa, Dean's favorable number here dropped to 39%. His unfavorable number rose to 30%.
He's going to lose not only his core support, some of his core support, but he's going to cut right down to a smaller base.
On the question of which candidate can best beat President Bush, Dean now trails Kerry by 14 points and retired four-star Army General Wesley Clark by 8 points. New Kerry yard signs appear to capture the New Hampshire mood, one that analysts say may linger and be Dean's undoing.
People now have this sense of him as being too negative and too angry. And so finding his feet this week, I think, is going to be very difficult.
To stop the hemorrhaging, Dean Wednesday leveraged the State of the Union address to slam the president for waging the Iraq War, and Senators Kerry, John Edwards, and Joe Lieberman for voting to authorize it.
The president talked about Iraq, and he talked about us being safer. I think we all know that we're not safer because of what the president has said and done. And I think we all know that one of the reasons we're in Iraq is because the Democrats wouldn't stand up for what they believed was right, and they did what they thought was popular.
Despite all this bad news for Dean, his Democratic rivals are betting, probably somewhat self-protectively, that he can and will get back in this race. And they're expecting the first move to be at tomorrow night's debate, the last one before the Tuesday primaries, where they're expecting Dean to come out with some self-deprecating humor to take the edge off that Monday night speech in Iowa. I talked to a strategist for a rival campaign just a few moments ago, and he said, if I were Dean's camp, I'd have 50 comic writers working on an opening line, and if they're not doing that, that says something more damaging about the Dean campaign than anything Dean did for himself on Monday. Britt?